Welcome to the Catalyst Cell podcast. This is a continuation of the series we started earlier this week. Today, I've got Lee Cockerell on to talk about anxiety. Lee, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, sure. Good to be with you.
So, Lee, how would you define anxiety? What is anxiety?
Well, I'm an expert at it because I've been through it a couple of times in my life. I really had to learn. It never happened to me until I was about 65. My wife got very sick and almost died, and I had to take care of her for 2 years. And I discovered what anxiety and depression is. So, but it's, first of all, it happens to people like me sometimes because I'm kind of a control freak. And I always want to keep things under control. I always think I can keep them under control. Uncertainty is something I don't really like a lot. I've gotten over a lot of that, by the way, and improved on it. But it's just a worry that exceeds reality. And when I was going through it, everything was 10 times bigger than it really was. It was amazing. What happened was I couldn't sleep. And then when you can't sleep, things get even worse. So unreasonable worry, I guess. I think you've always heard that about 90% of the things you worry about are never going to happen anyway. But we are in difficult times right now, and people have a good reason to worry about things. But I found some solutions to trying to help me get over that, work on it. So, I'm sure there's a lot of it going on right now.
So, what are some common mistakes that we make when thinking about anxiety?
Oh, I think we don't find out the facts. Everything gets exaggerated. I think going on Google when I was suffering from anxiety and depression, you get a lot of bad information that makes you worry even more. I think there's just we go to the worst possible place. I think in our minds that it's never going to get better. It's going to stay that way. Those kind of thoughts are what I have. And I think when you go from not sleeping to worrying most of the day, then you don't even want to be around people. You kind of move away from worrying about anybody but yourself. That's even worse because I found that when I spend time with people and that it's more reasonable. Things are not quite as bleak and dark as you think they are when you're alone. It's kind of like being alone at sleep at night. You wake up 3 a.m, everything's 10 times worse. And so I think I learned some good lessons about how to battle it.
Yeah. So how do we avoid these mistakes? You talk about lessons on how to battle it. How can we avoid those mistakes, or how can we get through these pieces?
Yeah, well, what I learned was a lot of, it's a chemical change in your brain. A lot of this, it's just like you get off balance. And so I kind of didn't do anything about it for about 6 months until my wife got after me because she could tell. I mean, I really didn't care much about anything. I didn't care if I saw my grandkids. I didn't care. I didn't want to meet with anybody. I kind of sat at home. I only ate. I forced myself to eat because I'd already lost 25 pounds. And so I went to see a psychiatrist, got some help. He was amazing. He eventually put me on some, because by this time I'd moved from anxiety to further down that trail to depression. And he got me on some meds, and that helped a lot. And helped but it took about 8 to 10 weeks before I started feeling a whole lot better. But I did the things like I really took a good look at my diet. I took sugar out of my diet. I took caffeine out of my diet. I quit watching TV that had a lot of violence and that kind of stuff on it because that just made it worse. We kind of started watching just programs that were very calm, collected. We kind of turned the TV off at 6 o'clock, put on music, and sat and read. I did acupuncture on Wednesdays. I saw a psychologist on Monday. I saw a psychiatrist every couple of weeks. I exercised every day at 4:30 pretty vigorously. I have a Stairmaster. That really gives you a lot of adrenaline and you feel a lot better. And my psychologist told me one thing he had seen work was in the afternoon, 4:30, just sit down quietly, maybe turn some music on and sit and worry about everything you want to worry about and try to work it out in your mind how bad it really is while you're awake and alert. And he said, when you wake up in the middle of the night, things won't seem as bad. And that was true, that I'd already kind of gone through those worries. And not only was my wife very ill and had some really close calls whether she was going to make it or not, the stock market had dropped at that point too, down to 6,000. So, and I was retired, so I was having triple stress. And then the news, watching too much news, being on too much social media where they said, oh, it's going to last for 20 years. This economy's never going to come back, blah, 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 which it always does, by the way. So I think being around positive people, pushing yourself to get out of the house if you can. My wife just called me a minute ago and said, you know, we're going to take a drive today or tomorrow. We're going to go down to Lake Eola, which is downtown in Orlando, and we're just going to walk around and get some sun and get out of the house. And, so you got to force yourself to do some things. So those are all the kinds of things I did, and they helped. And then finally, I would say it lasted quite a while because I worried about things. I worried about my family, worried about my wife, worried about, and I kind of suffer from the insecurity of growing up in a dysfunctional family. So I already had my brain, I had a little piece up there that I didn't know about who came down and kind of worked me over. I've always worried about finances for no good reason, but I always tell people your brain lies to you. There's stuff up there that you don't even know is there, and it comes out and kind of kicks you. So today I would say I'm 100%, and I feel good. Like this situation we're going in right now, I think all of that stuff I did in the past, I really have no anxiety now about the economy or about the virus. I've been through it a couple of times. I've been through a lot of pressure in my life. I now understand it will come back. Life will be good again. Could be hard. It may be hard. I may have to help other people along, but it sun will come up again. That's what I tell everybody, and we'll look back on this. You know, for young people, this is kind of their 9/11, and if you've never been through anything, it's even worse. You go to the worst possible place when you haven't been through a lot of obstacles in your life, and it will get better, and hopefully it'll get better in the next few months. And look back on this as one of those times.
Yes. So we've got a lot of people who are going through the process of working from home or remote work. How does that environment change things when you think about anxiety in the current time?
I think that what they ought to be trying to do is set a routine. Get up, get dressed. Don't want to walk around in your shorts. Get up, take a shower, get dressed like you're going to work, and then go wherever you're going to work. Whether you have a little office upstairs or kitchen table or what, go there and get to work. And routine is pretty important. It keeps you kind of on track. And that's what I do. I'm doing, and actually, I'm taking this opportunity to do a lot of create some more courses for my website. Getting in touch with people I haven't talked to for a while because I got a lot of free time. Every speech I had booked was canceled. So trying to rethink about whether we'll redo them in the fall. So amazing. My wife said, you know, today seems like Saturday. I said, I know. Every day seems like Saturday now. There's like nothing happening. And so that's, I think, yeah, routine is really important. And I would sit down and make a list of things you want to get done. So you can get some satisfaction out of checking them off. It may be cleaning out your garage. It might be writing an article. It might be taking your kids down to the park. Probably not people outside, of course. Stay away from people. It may just be playing board games. It may be there's many things you can think about. I said to somebody the other day, do the things you always said you didn't have time to do. Now, that's easy to say, but when you're suffering from anxiety and worrying about finances, perhaps, and your job, I know it's not as easy as that, but kind of force yourself into scheduling doing things instead of just sitting around with no plan. As you do them and you spend time with your children and you're out and about, even if you're going out kicking the soccer ball or anything will help you. So don't become isolated and get introverted. That's probably the worst thing to do.
And how does this shift or change when thinking about you've got your internal team, folks who work for you, they're part of your organization, external team, they might be your customers, and then self. How do as you think about anxiety in the context of those three things, team, customers,
Yeah.
and self, what
Yeah.
comes to mind?
Well, certainly with the clients, I have been just very, 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 very cooperative with them about contracts we had in place. When we're going to do it, I just told them, hey, don't worry about it. We'll work it out. Let me know if we don't do it. That's fine. If we do it, that's fine. I'm going to do a couple of them. They've already asked me to participate in something like we're doing right now, you and I, on an online one. I was supposed to be in Warsaw, Poland right now, and again in June, got canceled again. So we're going to do a virtual one online, and I hope, sure, I'll be happy to do that. I have one yesterday with Oklahoma State University for the students who are out of school. I have one coming up on April 12th, I think, with another school. So we're just finding ways for my clients and customers, I'm going to do everything I can to help them. I'm not charging them. We'll just see where this ends up one day. And no, I don't have employees now since I'm retired, but I can tell you what, if that's the time for a leader or a parent, be a great role model. So stay cool, calm, and collected is really important. When I went through 9/11, I ran all the command center, and I was responsible for all the changes of 9/11 and the hurricanes at Disney and all. And I was there. I was on duty. I was there. I didn't go home. I didn't go play golf. I didn't leave. Uh, I was there giving direction. And sure, did I have anxiety? Sure, but I didn't show it. That's the time you really got to be a good role model for your kids. Encourage them because sometimes you think they don't know what's going on, but they do. They see things, they hear things, they notice a difference in their parents, the anxiety, maybe it's more arguing and what you're saying in front of each other. Just try to be a good role model and help. All I can say with your employees is do whatever you can. This is the time to have some good discipline to sit down, talk to each one of them, listen to them, to show as much empathy as you can. What can I do? Maybe there's some things you can do, maybe there's some things you can't, but do what you can. And I would say, ask them, what can I do for you? Some things you can, some things you can't, but at least pay a lot of attention to people right now. If you're a leader at home, family, or in business, this is the time to have empathy and discipline. And and by the way, you'll never know how people are really reacting because Americans like to put on a good face, think everything's fine, but
Yep.
leave that. People are going to have a lot of issues right now, I know for sure. So I'm just paying more attention to people I come into contact with. Call the guy I mentor yesterday because he's out of school right now. Ask if there's anything I can do for him. I know he lost his job. I have an ability to help him a little bit financially, which I'm going to do. So you do what you can do. That's all I can say.
Awesome. So, Lee, is there anything else you'd like to share with folks as they're thinking through this or even want to look at other resources related to anxiety? Anything you'd like to share with the group?
Well, if it gets too bad, definitely I would go see somebody. There's time when you need professional help. If it's just worry and you're losing a little sleep, but it can get worse. And so really monitor that. Talk to your spouse or friend, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever about it. Talk about it. Let people know about it because you're not the only one out there. Anxiety is a major problem in the country right now. Even elementary students are suffering from high anxiety. They claim 1 in 5 elementary students are having anxiety because of what's going on at home, bullying, all kinds of things. Now school's out, they're not getting the meals at school. I mean, you got to really keep a close eye on everybody. This is the time to really pay attention and to people around you, to your elderly parents or grandparents, or if you got the strength, pay attention to everybody and see how you can help them. Actually, it'll make you feel better too, frankly. it'll keep you busy. When you stay busy, you don't suffer so much from anxiety. It's when you isolate yourself and withdraw. So you got to really be careful about that.
Yeah, I think it's a good time for reflection, a good time for communication, a good time for assessment, and you keep in mind that your folks are out there. If you've got this extra space, like Lee and I were able to coordinate this call within about 45 minutes, that because Lee has time and schedules worked out. You've got folks who are out there on your team, folks in your family who have this space and time. Communicate with those folks, schedule time to talk with them, get on a Zoom call, leverage the technology. Lee.
You might want to call all your customers and just check in with them. They
Yep.
may find that pretty impressive. So, and I think somebody said the last question you ask everybody, what else can I do for you? You know, that's a good question. That will help people feel good about you. It's all over, your business will come roaring back.
Well, Lee, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate the time. If anybody out there would like us to continue the conversation, I can have Lee back on as a guest in the future, and I'll have something that's a bit more conversational. Again, these are unedited episodes because we want to get the content out and help people see some signal through this noise. I'll include links to Lee's podcast, Creating Magic, and his time management book, which is phenomenal. In fact, I've got my 17-year-old working through chapters of that now as it is.
And Mike, let me tell you, on my podcast, Creating Disney Magic, we have a search engine there. And if you put in anxiety and or depression, there's 3 episodes I recorded when I was going through this back in 2016. And it first talked about what it was happening, what caused it, and a couple of others is what I did about it. That might be comforting to some people.
I will make sure there are links in the show notes for that. Lee, thank you very much.
Take care, my friend.